What's up, YouTube? What's going on? I said YouTube. I was thinking about my old.
Jeez.
What's going on, Awesome Pro Nation? We are back at it with another video. It's Monday. You know what that means. It is very overrated. No one likes Mondays, but we do because we get to go live. We get to talk football with you guys. And even though it's Monday, even though we got a week of silence before the season starts, there's been a lot going on. And unfortunately, for a lot of guys, for a lot of dreamers out there, their dream ended today. And it's going to continue to end. Teams got to make cuts, and unfortunately, a lot of these players that we fall in love with in the preseason just aren't as good as we don't, or as we're not able to see behind the TV screen. So, unfortunately, some people get cut. Hopefully, they get a chance somewhere else. But we have a lot to talk about today. A lot of drama. Really, just a lot of. I like to call this Twitter news, right? I guess we can't call it Twitter news because it's no longer Twitter. So I'm going to claim the rights to the name Twitter. We are now the Twitter podcast, NFL Twitter podcast. Hey, look at that. We like that episode of South Park. That's if you know, you know. But guys, are you guys excited? I know we got a little. Yeah, you know.
No.
I know we got a little over a week to get into the NFL season. I'm super pumped up. What are y'all looking forward to from now until then?
I'm just I'm waiting for all. Either there's a lot of hype behind every single team, except maybe like the Cardinals or the Rams. There's not hype behind those teams, but every other team there's hype behind. Like, oh, they could make the jump from being one of the worst teams to a mediocre team, from mediocre teams going to Super Bowl teams, playoff teams. I'm ready to see who can show who they really are, that they are what they had talked to that they are, and who's crap. I'm most excited to see that who can actually walk the walk like they talk the talk.
Cool.
Yeah.
Vince,
I
what are you
guess
excited about, bro?
I guess with the Seahawks, I'll say one thing about the Seahawks and one thing about the NFL. The Seahawks, we're like the dark horse to win the division. There's been a couple people to say that we're gonna have like 1 or 2 games over the 49ers. I don't know how much I believe that, but that would be really awesome if that were to happen. I do think we could possibly sneak into the playoffs. We just need to develop some more players, see how that defensive line is doing. So that's what I'm more excited about. Our defense is coming back, and we're gonna be someone to uh, be scared of now, instead of they're just gonna run it down our throats all game long. But then the NFL, I think similar to Reed, I think I'm just excited for fantasy football and to see who are going to be the juggernauts of this year in each position, as well as how the standings are going to roll out once it gets like around week 8, week 10. That's when you start to figure out who's going to be the playoff teams, who are not.
Nice. Yeah, it's super exciting. The guessing game is there. Preseason talk or preseason hype is definitely there.
Yeah.
I fall victim to it almost every year. I tell myself every year I'm not going to, but I always do. But for me, I'm super excited about players getting signed. So we got a few key players out there to get signed. I know we got Jones from Kansas City. We got Jay Jettas out there from Minnesota. We got Nick Bosa still yet to get signed. So I think that's coming up. I'm not too worried about it. I ain't worried about it at all. Not mad at it. But one thing I really want to talk about today is Matthew Stafford. Now, he came out and said something which makes you wonder why anyone would come out publicly and say that. So this was what was posted out there on Twitter. Let me get a better view here. This was posted out there on Twitter. It says QB Matthew Stafford admittedly has a tough time connecting with his younger teammates on the team. A little shocking there. I don't know how to lead people. I got to read that again. Did I read that right? It says, I don't know how to lead people I have no connection with. Okay. I don't know how to lead people that I have no connection with. I have to somehow find a way to connect with them. Stafford even went to the equipment guy to get a book printed of all their faces and all their names because he said, I need to know their names. We need to talk. So I'm going to find their names and I'm going to say, and so how was your weekend? I can't read for crap here, but maybe that's just how he said things. That's just weird, Like, you are the starting quarterback. You're the franchise quarterback of that team, and you have young players that you don't even know their names. You don't remember their face. you're supposed to be the captain there. You know, how would you feel if you're new to a team? Let's say you're going to work, right? You're new to work. You've been there for 4 months, 3 to 4 months, and the manager, your boss, doesn't even know who you are. Like, wouldn't even recognize your face. How would y'all feel there?
If that happened to me, I would be upset.
Yeah, obviously you wouldn't probably want to be a follower. I guess not a follower, but you wouldn't want to be led by that person, you know? If they can't even give the respect to you by seeing you almost every single day, whether it's on the field or in the locker room, they don't even know your name. So, or they didn't even like try to ask what your name was throughout those 2-3 months that they were there.
Yeah, I mean, as a starting quarterback, that is pretty shocking. I can't believe he said that. That he doesn't know how to lead people. That he doesn't really know. I mean, he's been in this league for how long now? And that's for me. I'm sincerely shocked. I really don't know how that is true. I mean, it has to be true because it's coming out of his mouth. You know, he is a veteran quarterback. It's extremely shocking because, like I said, he's been in the league for quite some time. He has to have some type of history with new players and leading them. But anyways,
Yeah,
that is wild. Oh, what?
I'm not done with this topic. I want to give my opinion. My opinion is that I think this is a little blown out of proportion. Um, as far as from what I know, the book of like faces of players, that's a pretty common thing in a lot of locker rooms, etc. For equipment people and also other people that are like new to the building to start to know faces, etc. This is a pretty common thing. I would imagine. So his wife said this on her podcast. I would imagine she's quoting something that probably happened weeks ago at the start of training camp, where it's kind of, it's kind of expected that he wouldn't know everybody. And there's 90 people right now on the roster. You can't know all 90 of those people, especially names, etc., especially the people who are about to get cut tomorrow. I think it's blown out of proportion a little bit. Yes, it is concerning that doesn't know how to connect with them, and this isn't the full quote. In the full quote, it does say that like after like practice, after meetings, all the younger people just pull out their phones, and he's like a 30-something-year-old dude. That's not his like culture, He's gonna feel that disconnect. He's like, hey, put down your phone, talk with me. So I don't think it's something to be completely worried about. I think he's more than capable of taking care of this situation, getting to know his teammates, etc. throughout the year. I think it's blown out a little proportion, but yes, a little concerning.
All right, are you done with this topic?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll take it off the screen then. Okay, and like I said, we're gonna keep on moving on with Twitter. There is a lot to talk about here. There's one thing I'm super excited about because I talked about him a lot last year, and while I'll get this back on the screen here. I'm talking about a young quarterback named Sam Howell, went to North Carolina and just completely killed it, right? Crushed it out there in college. And I think he's going to crush it here in the NFL. So I'm super excited to see him, how he performs. And so is Ron Rivera. So I'm talking about Sam Howell here. And this is a quote from Ron Rivera. I'm not going to say these words, obviously, but it's a pretty good quote. It says Rivera recalled talking to his wife, says, all we effing talked about was a quarterback. I kept saying, F it. If I would have known this, I would have played him sooner. Rivera says that the Week 18 game against the Cowboys last season showed him how good Howell can be. The Commanders had a chance to possibly make the playoffs had they won their Week 17 game against the Browns last season, but they started Carson Wentz, who had 3 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. What might have been? Thoughts there?
Yeah, it's just head coach, in my opinion, not fully being aware of like, hey, yeah, we have this veteran guy, but what's the next guy? And it's a big what if. Potentially, you could have started somehow that game or the games before, give him a little more experience before just throwing him out there against the Browns. But you could have potentially played better than Carson Wentz did. Wouldn't be hard. And won them the game. The Commanders could have made the playoffs, etc. But it's a what-if game, in my opinion. Possible, but I like him taking responsibility and saying, hey, this is a mess up by me. I didn't notice this when I should have noticed it earlier. I do respect that.
I'm also going to give Ron Rivera a little bit of leeway here because at this point in time, you're not practicing the QB2 or QB3. You're practicing your QB1. You're trying to get into the playoffs. All your first team reps are going to the QB1. And at that time, it was Carson Wentz. So I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway here. I would say maybe it's on the offensive coordinator or the quarterback coach who are actually working with these guys on the side of the field when they're not playing with the ones. So sometimes your coach has got to speak up. You say, "Hey, this Sam Howell kid, he's something special. I think he's playing at a high level right now. We should try to see if we can get him in there with the ones in practice." And that's where they should come to Ron Rivera and say something like that. But then again, I mean, I feel like starting the season with a QB1 after one good week in Week 18 last year with Sam Howell, I think it's the perfect scenario. Of course, Ron Rivera wanted to make playoffs last year. He wanted to see if they can make a run with the team that they had, build upon that, bring it into this season, and start Sam Howell. But now Sam Howell has a fresh start, and so do the Commanders. They're also getting healthier on the defensive side. Last year they had a lot of injuries. I believe Chase Young should be coming back soon if he's not there already, healthy. So that's another positive thing. So I think the Commanders are just in the right situation right now, and they are looking like they could possibly contend for a playoff spot if Sam Howell can play like he did in Week 18.
Well, we always state that this team has a lot of talent out there, especially with the wide receiver group. You had Johan Dotson, Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel. I mean, you're talking about guys who could really make a difference. And that three-headed back they got over there in the backfield, they're always rushing. They're always getting yards. They're all pass-catching backs. And so that's another exciting factor you could put in there. But the one thing that I really like about this new offense, as you said it, Vince, I mean, you got to put some weight on the offensive coordinator. Well, he's no longer there. They have Eric Bieniemy now. If y'all do not know who Eric Bieniemy is, he was the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs for as long as Patrick Mahomes was there. So, he has to take a lot of credit for the success that Kansas City has, and hopefully he can replicate some of that onto Washington with this super young Sam Howell, who seems to be very talented according to what Ron Rivera says. But I mean, that's a head coach, right? Why wouldn't he say stuff like that? I'm super excited to see what he does. I'm just pumped. I'm really pumped. And it's fortunate what happened to Carson Wentz. I mean, people are wrong. People get wrong sometimes. And did y'all hear that Carson Wentz is actually talking with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I haven't heard that rumor, but I saw that you said that.
Yeah, so supposedly the Kansas City Chiefs are playing with the idea of maybe signing Carson Wentz, which is a little shocking because I would think that Carson Wentz would be a little too pricey to be a backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs tasting.
Definitely true. That the price tag would be interesting to see what it ends up being, whether maybe they convince him to be a vet min, which I would be very surprised. But as far as getting him on your team, having him as a backup, yeah, we don't want Carson Wentz as your starter. I think you're in trouble there. But having an experienced guy as your backup to be able to lead an offense, I think it's a good thing. I'm concerned about the price tag for them, but getting him in the building and having him as a backup, hey, your role is a backup. You're not going to win the starting job, obviously. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Vince.
I think it's super strange. I don't even know why they would waste their time signing someone who's super, or not super old, but who's like pretty much on their way out of the league. You would think they would try to go after some of these younger guys who are still not signed. There's a couple of quarterbacks. I read something, I forgot his name, but he was an undrafted guy, and I think he won the starting job over someone else. I can't remember the team for the life of me right now. My mind is blank. But there's a lot of guys who are undrafted who you could give a chance to. You can sign them for way lower than the vet min, and just give them some incentives here and there. If they're to make the team, then they can actually get a contract, But I think just giving it to Carson Wentz as the backup is kind of irresponsible of them looking towards the future, because you never know. One play, Patrick Mahomes is done for the entire season or for his entire career. So you got to start getting those younger guys instead of just having placeholders as backups.
I disagree with you there, Vince. Yes, obviously every single player is one play from being away out of the league, injured, career done. But they are in a win now mode. Having a quarterback that has experience, that can play now and win now, is Carson Wentz, who has experience. You can draft and develop a guy all you want, but he's not going to develop long enough, or he's going to run out of time to actually be able to starter for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is staying there for a while, pending injury.
I agree and disagree, right? Because they want to get a veteran guy, but I wouldn't say as far as, hey, I'm going to sign this veteran guy because he's plug and play, plug in and win. I don't think he's a winner. I like Carson Wentz a lot. I like his attitude. I think he's a great person. I don't think he's a winner. He had a very talented team out there in Washington. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if you talk about the division. I don't care if you talk about the coaching. They had a very talented team, and he just played very bad. He made horrible decisions. He held the ball for too long. He just wasn't playing as a smart quarterback. He wanted to do more than what was expected. All he had to do was just do his job. So I'm seeing it this way. Hey, if you have a chance behind Patrick Mahomes, and if something does happen, which I hope nothing happens to Patrick, if he goes down, he gets injured, and Carson Wentz gets in, I feel like he's like, what's that guy's name from The Longest Yard? The guy get to the ball, right? He's gonna freak out, right? He's gonna want to impress everyone so bad. He's like, this is my chance. We have a chance at the title, and I got a good team, which really Patrick Mahomes makes up a lot of that team. He really does. I mean, he has now a second-year running back, an all-elite tight end, and some pretty good wide receivers, right? We can't say that any one of those receivers are just downright elite. We can't. They're pretty darn good, but I think Carson Wentz is just going to do a little too much and freak out, and I don't think he's a win-it-all guy, even with that team.
I see what you're saying.
But a team that could possibly sign him is maybe the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, I really don't know what they're doing. From going from horrible preseason video clips to horrible interviews with Kyler Murray, it's bad over there. And the only word that we could describe them as, because Reed said it before, is that it's just a dumpster fire over there. It's bad. I mean, Jonathan Gannon, he doesn't want to name a week 1 starter because he wants to keep that competitive advantage. Are you kidding me? You ain't fooling anyone, Gannon. You're not fooling anyone. You don't have any QBs. Colt McCoy was cut. Hello,
Yep.
What? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why was he cut? Because he was playing good last year whenever Kyler Murray was hurt? Because he showed that he could possibly compete against Kyler Murray? And yes, I'm saying Colt McCoy can compete against Kyler Murray. And the only reason why he would take that job is because he's a yes coach type of guy. Kyler Murray is not a yes coach type of guy. He's like, I'm going to do things my way, and I'm going to get us wins, and you're going to thank me for it. But sometimes that doesn't always work. Extremely talented guy. Extremely talented. He wants to bring up his height. I never done that once in my life, but you could do that, right? You could do that. It's fine. Extremely talented guy, but he's not a leader.
For sure.
Not bad, yeah. I think their guy in line right now to start is Joshua Dobbs. So it's not looking amazing there, but he can probably hold it down. I don't think the Cardinals are trying to win or anything. So maybe that's why he's not saying who the starting quarterback is. Maybe he wants to put the worst guy out there, get some L's under his belt, maybe just to get a better draft pick, But we'll see. I think that they said that Kyler Murray is possible to play around like week 4, week 5, based on his injury, which was the ACL tear last year. So that's when he should be able to like firsthand get cleared. Like it's the first time that he's able to get back on the field. It's probably those weeks. So we'll see. I just think the Cardinals are not a team to watch at all, honestly.
For sure, they are not anything that you should be excited to watch this upcoming season. I definitely think there could be some potentially tanking here. I definitely think that could be possible. I really don't like anything about this team. I don't like any decisions they're making. Head coach Jonathan Gannon Pete 100% agrees with me saying the Cardinals are tanking 100%. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like their situation. I think you need to potentially try to get that first overall pick and get Caleb Williams in there. Cut ties with Kyler Murray. Pete says like him in fantasy. Cut ties with Kyler Murray, in my opinion. See if he can sell him off to some other team in a trade and start over.
They're just going to hurt themselves even more. If they're tanking, they're going to hurt themselves even more
100%.
because they're going to make the bad decision in trying to make sure Kyler Murray is happy. Make sure you build around Kyler Murray. Let's do everything Kyler Murray because this is his team and he is the face of this. That's horrible. I think they're going to do that. They did this past draft, sort of. They did adjust other positions and not adjust the quarterback position at all. And now it kind of seems like, hey, maybe we should have, right? Even if it's in the 7th round, maybe we should have gotten a rookie quarterback to try to develop for the future. But I think Kyler Murray has this team around his fingers. Obviously, they went ahead and sided with the QB instead of the coach, Cliff Kingsbury, even though they signed Cliff Kingsbury for a lot of money, gave him a very nice extension. Good for him. They did the same thing with Kyler Murray, one of the highest paid quarterbacks out there in the league, and yet they can't get along. And yet you have Kyler Murray coming out and saying, hey, this dude better be effing serious or I'm not going to take him serious. How can you say that about your coach? How can you say that you're going to have different conversations if things don't go your way? How are you that confident? What have you done in your career besides get paid? You haven't done much. Yeah. You haven't done much. Caleb Williams to Arizona.
If they were smart.
I'm saying Arizona, they're going to tank no matter what. I don't think they have a choice.
Nope.
I think
they have the top 3 pick no matter what.
Correct. It's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. And a lot of people are going to see it. Oh, man, no, these guys are just smart. They're tanking so they can get a good pick. No, dude. You got some young talent, right, that you got off the draft. You need to cut your ties with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, those young guys are just going to get so unmotivated by losing. Nobody wants to come into the league fresh start on a new franchise and just lose the entire season. That just like tanks their motivation, I'm not going to say will to play football, but for that franchise, their will to play for that franchise because they know that they're getting paid, but it's all a business, it's on to the next guy who's the next big talent. It's just hard for young guys to be in a rebuild.
Yeah, it destroys the culture.
Exactly. Beautiful word there, Reed. Yep. Beautiful word. Why would you want to play in a setting where there's no culture, where the culture is just like, we'll worry about it later type? I really cannot stand players like Kyler Murray who feel like they are entitled to everything in the league, and they really haven't shown much. Rave says, another top pick, grab Marvin Harrison, and you have a nice future.
Yeah, but you need a quarterback.
You do. You do need a quarterback. And Kyler Murray, I know you all see me pick him up late rounds of fantasy. That's just because he gets points with running the ball. Yep. He's a touchdown vulture. When you're in the red zone, he's going to want to take it in himself. And that's why I pick him up. If you have Kyler Murray for the future, he's been in the league for how long now? For 4 years.
This will be his 5th.
This is 5th season. And he's already getting paid as, what is it now, a top 3 quarterback in the league?
No, it should be top 10. He's not in top 3 anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Let me check.
Pete says, Murray deserves all the hate Dak gets. Honestly, in my book, Pete, he gets more. A lot more. And we're going to talk about Dak right now because one of the biggest storylines this past week is obviously Trey Lance. It breaks my heart to say he gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys. So we're about to talk about that right now. Let's see if Vince has an answer here about how much he's getting paid.
Kyler Murray is getting paid $46 million. He's the number 5. The top guy right now is Justin Herbert at $52 million.
So top 5 paid quarterback for a guy that's only played, 2 full seasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad decisions, bad coaching, bad ownership, bad management. All right, next, let's get to the fun part. Let's get to Dak Prescott. Let's get to Trey Lance. Let's get to the Niners. Let's talk trash. Let's get into it, right? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get the screen ready over here. So let's get right into it.
Oh, set the scene, AJ. What happened? Why is Dak talking like this?
Dak is talking like this because from what we know, from what we could tell, this was kind of thrown out of left field, right? He did not know this was going to happen. I really want to talk about it, how I think he feels after we watch this video.
All right.
So if you guys are ready, grab some popcorn. Let's watch it. We're not watching the whole thing. All right. I hated hearing that as a student in high school.
I can't say that I necessarily expected it, no. I understand that that's business. I understand that they're probably on a timeline. They need to get something done. And as I said, he felt like that strengthened his team. And, as I said, we're ready to welcome him. And, I mean, we knowing the strength of the quarterback room that we have, honestly, right now, I mean, my heart and my mind is with Will. And so it's a tough situation, honestly. Love that guy to death over there. Plays his ass off. Comes in, prepares the right way each and every day. And I mean, as I said, we're gonna welcome Trey, and that's what you do for a teammate. I mean, we're excited. I'm excited. I'm always there to help somebody, help a teammate. Very selfless person, so that's not going to change by any means. But my heart's with that guy over there right
now. Okay, a lot to take out from this, right? So one. He says, okay, I didn't know about it. It is a business. Whenever you hear players say it's a business, they're unhappy about something.
They're not happy with it.
Yeah. Right, correct. They're not happy about something. 2, he's like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about my boy Will, which I can see it both ways. I'm glad he's worried about his teammate, but, never in the past have I ever heard him talk about his backup QBs. Never have I ever heard him talk about Ben DiNucci, who supposedly he was close with. Never heard him talk about Cooper Rush. No, he's talking about Will Grier. If y'all don't know who Will Grier is, Will is the third string quarterback who's just been blazing it out there in preseason for the Dallas Cowboys. Just outright killing the game. He's looking good. So what does his future look like with the Cowboys? We really don't know. Right? And then third, he calls Trey Trent. I didn't like that. I don't like that at all. It's disgusting. I hate it. You say it was a mistake, whatnot. It's the most talked about thing. That name is running through his head rent free. You know he knows that name. And I do this a lot too. I like to look at people's faces whenever they're talking. I like to read signs and I like to pick up on things. When someone's talking like that, when they squint their head and they do that little half wink talk, he has a little attitude with them. He has a little mox like, hey, come mess with me, like that, and that's just the little things that I see that bothers me because I do it to people and I know it bothers the hell out of them. That's just what I saw. Rave says Dak got 1 or 2 years left before Dallas moves on from him, depending on what happens this season. I wouldn't even give him this season. I think what happens the next 2 seasons. And this is, a lot of people might say it's kind of weird because they're just talking about Dak Prescott having a contract extension, and now this happens. What Jerry Jones had to say, he was like, hey, there is a top 3 pick that's available. For how much? I'll do you one better. I'll take that. A 22-year-old kid that was a top 3 pick. Hell yeah, I'll take that. We could help develop him. If something doesn't happen with Dak, we got someone out there. If it doesn't work out, what do we lose? A 4th round pick, But I'll let you talk. I'll let you guys take it away from here because I could go on and on about this.
For sure. I'll go first. I like that he is sticking up for his other teammates. I will not knock him for that. Did he have attitude when he was saying that? Obviously, you can see that. So you can knock him for that. But I do respect him for saying, hey, I think the guys we have on our roster are good enough. It's not what you should say, but I respect him that he believes in the guys that are around him. But I 100% agree with everything you were saying earlier, AJ. I didn't like his attitude. I think there's another clip out there of him saying other stuff. Yeah, his whole attitude about the whole thing is not good. He says he's excited, he will welcome, etc. But everything, it just sounds insecure. He's insecure about his job. There was a lot of noise last year when he got hurt, and Cooper Rush came in and won. When he went 3-1 for the Cowboys, and there was a whole bunch of noise about, hey, we need to start Cooper Kush, we need to start Cooper Rush. You got to bench Dak, move on from him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He heard that. I don't think he's the guy that puts down his phone and ignores social media. He heard all that noise, and that has made him feel insecure this season. And trading a 4th round, obviously, you're not just trading a 4th round to hope that he is a backup for the next 2 years for you guys next year and say bye to him, saying, hey, this is a nice little internship or whatever. You want him to be potentially the next guy if Dak doesn't work out this year. He's insecure. He's not confident in himself. That's the only reason you would be insecure, not because of the people around you, because you're not confident in yourself. I don't like it. I'm worried about Dak and his future with the Cowboys.
Okay, so I'm going to go half and half here. I'm going to back Dak a little bit. And then right after, I'm going to bash the hell out of him.
Okay.
Because here's why I'm going to back him. Because obviously, everybody should be scared of a young quarterback getting traded to your team, especially the caliber of Trey Lance. He coming into the draft, a lot of teams wanted to draft him. That's why the 49ers moved up, traded 3 first-round picks to get him at number 3. That's a lot to trade away. And that's why the Cowboys were very interested when they heard that possibly they could get him for a 6th-round pick. I heard that someone offered a 5th, so Dallas went above that and said, here, we'll give you a 4th. Take it right now. We want him. So that's what happened. So I back Dak a little bit here. I'm not a Cowboys fan, never will be a Cowboys fan. But Dak is just a little bit scared, and that's okay. But that doesn't look good for the franchise. This is where I'm going to start bashing Dak, because he's America's team. He's the face. Ezekiel Elliott's gone. CeeDee Lamb is there too. He's on the side. Right here. It's Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons. However you want to say it. Dak is the guy because he's the one in control of that entire offense. CeeDee doesn't get the ball without Zach, or without Dak, yeah. And then Michael Parsons, he could do all he wants, but he's not going to be the guy who's leading the team to go score touchdowns. He just stops the offense of the other team. So Dak is a little bit scared because he loves being the face of America's team. Who wouldn't? But with all that, just like Reed said, a lot of stuff comes out to play whenever you're not on the field, and someone else can just slide in and do your job pretty well. So I'm going to bash Dak as much as I can this season because I know he's not going to perform like how everybody wants him to. And that's just on him, He has the talent, he has the ability, he has the personality to be that leader and have the team rally around him. But right now he's showing the other side of him, and I think the media is getting to him, and that's not what you want for your starting quarterback. So Dak, I do agree he will be out once his contract is up. I don't think he'll get an extension. If he does, it's probably a 2-year extension. It's not going to be 4. So Trey Lance, he probably has a future here in Dallas. If not, he'll go somewhere else. He has a future in the NFL. He's only 22 years old. He has a really, really bad injury already, so young, but he has a lot of time to rehab that because he's not going to be on the field as a starter for maybe 1 to 2 more years, just like how you guys are saying. So should be pretty good for Trey Lance.
I really hope this is like a master heist here. I really, really hope this is like Ocean's 11 type level, right? So crazy conspiracy. Okay, you all ready for this?
All right, bring it on us.
Trey Lance, his agent is the same agent as Sam Darnold. So they go in, they ask Kyle Shanahan, who is the quarterback to? Kyle Shanahan says there's going to be rotation. We can't decide We want to rotate. We still need Trey Lance to develop. He hasn't played much games, which is true, right? Not entirely his fault all the way. But they're like, okay, so let's talk. Trey Lance, boom. Obviously, they left on good terms. You had John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan come out and apologize to Trey Lance. Trey Lance came out. He apologized to the 49ers. It is a healthy relationship right there. I think the grand scheme of things is, hey, listen up. Okay, what to get you out of here, right? You're still going to be in your rookie contract, so you're not obligated to sign anywhere. So let's get you out there, get you the experience you need, get that QB2, right? Definitely QB2, where you can learn with a successful team, somewhat similar to ours. And then right when your contract is up, you don't sign with them. We got you, boo. We're gonna give you some big ball money if you develop the way you want to develop. We still believe in you. I said, Shanny, dog, let's do this. All right, let's get this free 4th round pick, and then I'm gonna make it up to you. So he could come back with the Niners and just absolutely tear it up. Hey, crazy conspiracy. I love Brock Purdy. I think he's going to be our franchise guy. But
I think it's crazy that after what's it, like 3 years now, you're still defending Trey Lance like this, AJ.
Did you expect anything less?
I don't.
He hyped him up so hard in that year's draft. I remember it. That's all AJ could talk about.
It was true, and there's still a lot of untapped potential. And I 100%. Really hope he finds success. If obviously not with the Niners, right? Doesn't know that's going to happen that way. It's a super low chance, but I really hope he goes out and he balls out for a team. I wish nothing but the best for him.
100% same with you there. I'm of the party of, I think he has still 100% has a whole bunch of potential where he can be a guy, he can be a franchise guy, but also I've seen nothing from him that can tell me that he is a franchise guy. It's been almost 4 years basically since he's played a full season of football. Probably the last time he did was his actual redshirt rookie year, probably of college, or maybe high school, where he actually played a full season of football. That's where he's at, unfortunately. I've seen nothing from him that can say he can be a franchise guy, but also you don't know. There is talent there, 100%. But can he be a franchise guy that can lead a team, et cetera, et cetera? I've not seen any of that yet. So hope the best for him, but I've not seen any of it
yet. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong. But it's not entirely his fault.
No.
Really?
All of it is out of his hands. Bad situation they came into where you still had a starter, and then they got rid of that starter, made him back up, made you the starter. You get here in your second game. It's as unfortunate as it could possibly be. We could have saw last year if he could have been the guy. Brock Purdy could still be sitting on your bench, untapped potential. You don't know yet. And you could be still rolling with Trey Lance if he didn't get injured that day.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
You got the Niner curse and everybody gets injured.
It is a Niner curse. And I'm going to throw this out there, okay? Y'all can take it how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
If Brock Purdy was never a thing, if the Niners didn't draft him, if Brock Purdy was just a third string to be QB, Trey Lance, even if we did get Sam Darnold, Trey Lance would be the 100% the starter this year.
I would believe that, yes.
So
he would have to have a terrible camp in order for that to happen. I believe it was kind of up and down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more ups than downs, though, from my understanding from his camp. But yes, I would believe that he would be the starting quarterback. If Brock Purdy had just played like mediocre, you guys lost games, you weren't the team you were last year, I 100% believe that Trey Lance would be the starting quarterback week 1.
But the worst thing that could happen for Trey Lance did, and that was Brock Purdy being perfect. He was the highest QBR all of those 5 games that he went undefeated. Oh, wow. Look at this. Says Purdy ain't going to be a thing after this season. Hey, man, I was, that mind as a football fan, right? That thought runs through your head. It runs through your mind. He was a rookie last year. He has a stacked team against him. But I was listening to the Pat McAfee show today, and AJ Hawk had something to say about exactly that, right? Because that was a topic. Brock Purdy. Will he fall off? Everyone thinks he's going to be a one-year wonder. And AJ Hawk said something for real, right? Even if he doesn't perform like he did last year, the games that he went in last year, being mystery relevant, being a rookie at the end of the season in order to make the playoffs, he went through it. You can't deny those stats. You can't deny the way he played. So there's a lot of good to take out of Brock Purdy. You can't hide that kind of stuff. Even if he doesn't perform, even if he does become a mediocre quarterback, I still believe that mediocre Brock Purdy is going to be better than a Jimmy Garoppolo. He played really well last year. I'm not saying he's a Joe Montana coming, but he showed a lot of promise, undefeated as a starter. So what can I say? You could talk about when he got hurt, but that was literally a freak hit. I think he's going to be great, and I really hope he is great. A good guy, really good guy as well.
He has all the characteristics of being a guy.
Yes. And how can you not root for someone like that? Last pick of the draft. He's barely like 6 foot, He doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He looks like your average Joe quarterback, I'm just so happy. And the team loves him. Great attitude. And the first thing he did was praise Trey Lance, saying, "Thank you for helping me get into this league or transition to this league." I don't know if y'all saw, but his first touchdown pass, Trey Lance ran to the end zone, picked up the ball and gave it to Brock Purdy. He's like, "Hey, don't lose this." I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But going back to the Dak Prescott thing, after these 2 years, he's going to be, forgive me, I can't remember how old he is. I think he's like 32, but he's in his prime, right? A quarterback, this is an awesome age for him. And it's going to be the first time ever in his career that he is going to be an unrestricted free agent, right? They can't franchise tag him anymore. They can't do that. It's in his contract. The Cowboys aren't allowed to have a say-so on what he wants to do in his future. It's all on him. So, Vince, you said earlier that, hey, the Cowboys could sign him for 2 more years. I think Dak, after these next 2 seasons, like, hey, I need to retire and I need my big boy money now, because he has yet to get that, right? I mean, we talk about how he was expensive back in the day, but right now he's getting paid like peanuts, right? He needs to get that contract. It is prime time for Dak Prescott. So depending on these next 2 years, I don't only think he is betting on his future with the Cowboys. I think he's betting on his future in the NFL. This is exciting. I'm like pumped up, What do y'all go ahead, Reed?
Yeah. So I think, yes, everything resides on this one season. Whether he is going to get a restructure, extension, etc., for the coming years. That all Jerry Jones knows going into the season that all eyes are on Dak. If he performs well, they'll extend him, because it does save them money. If they extend him, they can push money out and create more cap space for the team to build a championship team. So you kind of want that. I think they would want to extend Dak right now if they have the confidence in him. They would do it right now, but they don't. So I think they were looking for that because they want it to be Dak. They want it to be Dak so they don't have to restart, etc. They want to extend him, but they won't do it unless they see something from him, whether it's just a little bit of step up from last year or a huge stride forward. They are looking for something like that. If he stays the same, where he throws a whole bunch of interceptions or degresses even more, I think they're going to move on from him 100%. How they move on from him, whether letting his contract expire, etc., I don't know. But you definitely want to extend him.
I wouldn't say he has the most complete team the Cowboys had in years. I say this every year. The Cowboys always have a Super Bowl competing team. Always. They have a very talented team every single year. This year, very talented. 100% agree. I don't think this is the most complete team that they had. They started losing little by little when it comes to offensive line. You guys were able to get Zach Martin back, which is huge for y'all's future. But talented team, yes. Top elite team, yes. But not the most complete team he had in years. I can't take that.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys right now are, you can't call it a rebuild, but they're adding young players to their core. Tight end position is rookies, the Tony Pollard is a young running back that they're trying to keep around for a while. They franchise tagged him this year, but if he does well like he did last year and he doesn't get injured, I think they sign him. I think that Pollard goes for maybe a 2 to 3 year extension worth like maybe 25 million. I could see something like that. They spread it around, maybe put it more towards the back half where he has incentives, like how we were talking about earlier, where running back contracts move more into incentives because it's just better for the team. But what I'm trying to get at here is that Dak right now, just like how we're saying, it's all dependent on this year, but I think it's also dependent on next year because I think even if he does bad this year, they won't bench him. You know, they're still paying him 40 mil a year, and I think majority of that money is towards his last year of the contract. So uh, it was the first time I heard that he can't be franchised again based off his contract. So I don't really pay attention to the contracts too much until it comes up to the point where it's like, oh, he can't do that. So, but right now the Cowboys are in a sticky situation. I don't think this is even one of their top 5 teams in the past 10 years. I think in the past 10 years they've had 5 years where they're better than they are this year. They have a young core. They have some talent, but that line is getting older. The defensive line is getting older. You know, they only have a couple years left to actually be considered a championship team. And they're just revolving right now on CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Michael Parsons. Those are the only guys I've been hearing about from the Cowboys. Not even Trayvon Diggs. I haven't heard too much of him. Like, it's not going to be a good year for the Cowboys unless Dak Prescott balls out.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm bashing on the Cowboys, right? I'm really not. But you said you're talking about 3 guys: Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons. I can't throw Dak Prescott in that fire right now. I really can't, especially the performance that he had last year, missing 5 games. I've said it plenty of times. I'm going to say it again. He had the most interceptions in the league. That does not look good. You know, he cannot perform under pressure. I work with tons of Cowboys. This doesn't matter where I go. There's Cowboys fans everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
And they all do the same thing. And what is that? They talk shit. Okay. So they're like, yo, dude, the Cowboys are going to beat the Niners. You know, they're due, man. They're going to beat them. And I said this. I was like, I never stated that the Niners will beat the Cowboys. I never said that. Every single year when the Niners play the Cowboys, what do I say?
It's the most scared we've ever been.
No,
you don't want to get beat.
You don't want to get beat, right? But I said the Niners will not beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys will beat themselves, and they always do. Look at the past 2 playoff games, and yeah, coincidentally, it was with the Niners. You could always go back to that time where they had 8 seconds left, and Dak Prescott decided to run the ball himself. Run the ball,
go down early.
Not go down early. Run the ball, and immediately after getting penalized for the same damn thing, he decides to put the ball down instead of giving it to the referee. That hurt him, right? That they missed out on their chance on another opportunity to score. And that's all up here. That's quarterback mentality. That's why I say it's very important to be smart, but you can't put all the blame on Dak, right? Even though he's a vet and he should be able to put all the blame on him, it has to go with the head coach as well. That was horrible play calling. Very bad play calling. Look at the last play last year in the playoffs when y'all got knocked out by the Niners. What did they do? They had 1 offensive lineman. Who was the offensive lineman?
Oh, God.
Ezekiel Elliott. That's probably one of the most ridiculous plays that we've ever seen in history. That's going to be on YouTube forever. That's going to be out there forever. And I loved it. I loved that it was Ezekiel Elliott's last play as a Cowboy. Absolutely loved it because he got demolished. Killed.
He did. He flew, bro. I don't even think he was trying to block. He was just standing there.
It was bad, right? Not a bad snap. It was okay, mediocre. But yeah, I think it has to come down to Dak. Dude, you got to be smarter. You're very talented, but those incompletions, those interceptions comes down to making the right decision, right? A lot of it, you can say, oh, it's not his fault. It was tip ball. That happens to every quarterback. You got to make smarter decisions as a quarterback. He has to really look at film. I'm not saying he doesn't, but if he wants to improve, that's what he has to look at. Hit the bush.
For sure. I agree.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's really all I got. I know I was ranting for a little bit, but
The only thing I wanted to go back to was about Brock Purdy. I think the only way Brock Purdy falls off, like I want to go back to the comment where they said
a
that
very rude comment.
yeah, that Purdy ain't gonna be a thing after this season. I think the only way that happens is if the entire Niners team gets hurt again. You know, I think if the offense like George Kittle, y'all's running back, whoever it's gonna be, because there's gonna be a rotation somehow. I think that's the only way Brock Purdy does not have a good season, because he's got good wide receivers, he's got good running back core, he's got a good offensive line. He's got everything to do the same thing that he did last year, because you guys pretty much have the same offense.
Same
That's basically what
offense.
it is. Yeah.
And
The only thing that's switching up is defense, because you guys added more defensive linemen. Like that's so he has the same amount of firepower to keep going what he was doing last season. The only thing now is that he starts at the beginning of the season and has to go all the way to the end.
yeah,
So
which is
that's the only
good.
thing.
Get him more
Yeah.
experience. Get him out there. And defense does play a big part, because the defense gives you more opportunities to be on the field. So
Mhm.
great on that. And you hit the nail right on the head, Vince. Is like, if everyone gets injured, you're going to be in trouble. You can stick Carson Wentz back there, and he's going to find success. You might even see Sam Darnold back there throughout the season. I hope not, but you might see him. And I think he's going to be very successful with the Niners. That comes down to what? Coaching, smarts. One thing about Brock Purdy, first thing they said about him was big confidence Brock. Not exactly confidence, it was something else. But that just means that he was brave and he was willing to take those chances, but he had trust in his team. He had very little chemistry, which I'm excited for this year. A lot more chemistry. And he was smart with his decisions. Check 1, check 2. It's hard to get to check 3. I don't think he's there yet. But
Comes with time.
It does. It does. I'm super excited. I'm just glad Trey Lance didn't go with the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey man, it's still a possibility.
There's still a possibility, yes. I mean, it's going to line up perfectly if Geno Smith stays there for 2 more years. Oh my gosh, I just go in the AFC. I don't care where. I do care. Maybe not the Chiefs, right? But go anywhere else. We'll see. You guys have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, I'm super excited for this upcoming season. We got 2 fantasy drafts this upcoming Thursday, you guys. We're going to go live for both of them. So stay tuned. It's going to be a long one. And hopefully see you guys there. So until next time, keep on grinding.